All right, so a lot of people have been looking at trying to put a timer into their game. So how do I do that? Basically, you're going to end up using alarms and an object to do this. So I'm actually going to create an invisible object, which is going to be my timer that I'm going to use in this game. So I'm going to create an object. I'm going to call this the timer underscore O. I need to create a variable which keeps track of what's going on in my game. So I'm going to do my game in seconds. So the time is going to be in seconds. So I'm going to create a time variable which is going to start at 0. The actual making the alarm work happens now. So I say, in this particular object, I'm going to say 30 steps, because that's 1 second in my game. When the alarm goes off, so when alarm 0 fires, I'm going to reset that so it keeps going. And I'm going to set time to be 1 relative. So I set the time object or the time variable to 0 initially, set the alarm 0 to 30, reset it when it actually fires, and add 1 to this. Now at the moment, this isn't actually going to show up in my room, and even if I actually put it in my room, it's still not going to show anything. So what I'd like to do is make it so it actually draws that variable on the screen. So I'm actually going to give this guy a draw event, and it's going to use this 10 draw variable. So I'm going to draw variable time. I could put it at like 30, 30, but if I have a view, that's not going to work out very well. What I probably would like to do is make sure that it stays within my view. It turns out that the left side of the view is called view underscore x view. If you look it up, you'll find that out. So that is the left side of the view wherever the view is as it's following you. So if I wanted 30 in from the left side, I would do view underscore x view plus 30, view underscore y view plus 30 for the y position. Make sure you spell views correctly, i.e., for both of those. Otherwise, you will get an error. So if I throw this timer in the room, there's my time. All right. Now, that's the default font and all of that. So if you want to change those sorts of things, if I go into the draw event, I can actually, let's say I want to change the color. I would just set the color before this. So if I want it to be, I don't know, blue. When I run it, this will now be in blue. If I want it to be a different font size, I actually have to create a font for this to work. So that's the 2 little T's up here, create a font. So I'm going to use, I don't know, let's see, what should I use? Sure, Yisha, why not? Watch out, make sure that whatever font you choose works on all the different machines or else it won't work. And you want to leave the character range alone. It turns out that this is the ASCII chart, which is basically translating numbers into letters. So we want the full range. So if I make this bold, make it that font, and then in the draw event, just before I set the color and drawing this thing, I'm going to set the font to be the one that I just created. There we go. Now it's actually drawing in that font. So now what I can do is when I actually get a high score, I could set that based on the timer. Maybe I do, if you do a countdown, so if you start the time at like, I don't know, 300 seconds and subtract 1 each time, that naturally works as a high score then, because you would have the least amount that you subtracted off be the highest score. So when you set the high score, just before you show the high score, you would use the time variable to set your score to that and then show the high score. All right, that should give you the basics of how to do a timer. If you weren't doing a timer, you would probably have enemies that were going along some sort of path, and you can just check to see how many of them have touched the finish line. So you'd create an object, possibly visible, possibly invisible, that the enemy cars collide with. Check to see which ones have collided, and that's your place as far as your car goes.